So I studied in the best fashion school in the world, then worked at Dior, but then I left the fashion industry. And over the past few months, I received a lot of messages asking me why I left the fashion industry, if I regret it, and what I'm doing now. So in this video, I'm going to answer all of this. So I studied at IFM, one of the best fashion schools in the world. And after that, I worked at Dior Men as a product manager. And I often share that story that 4 years before working at Dior, I was in high school in Mexico watching the Dior Men shows from my room. And I remember saying to myself, one day I'll be there. And I had no idea on how I was going to make it happen. And 4 years later, I was there exactly where I dreamt to be. And after working at Dior, I left the fashion industry. And the question I get often asked is, why did you leave the fashion industry? Or I often get asked as well, if I regret going to fashion school even though I don't work in fashion anymore. And the answer is always no, because it was my plan all along. I've always loved fashion, and I learned the foundations and understood how the industry works inside out. But I knew I had to step away, focus on other things, in order to come back to the fashion industry even stronger in a way. I've already talked about this in another video, but here's a quick recap. I stepped away from the fashion industry because I wanted to learn more about business. I wanted to start multiple businesses, gain hands-on experience on business, and get my hands dirty by touching everything and learning everything there's to know about business. From finding the right product or service to sell to identifying the right market, or crafting an offer, launching ads, negotiating contracts, or how to speak to investors. Basically learning the ins and outs of what makes a business successful. Because at the end of the day, even fashion is business. All the designs, the creativity, the shows, it has to be sold. If not, business fails and there's nothing. So whether you are a designer or something else, learn about business. It's the foundation of everything. Start a project, freelance, start something small. It'll make your career in fashion or your career in anything, 10 times stronger. So that's why I stepped away. To expand my skills, gain perspective, and build a really good foundation to come back to the fashion industry with an amazing business knowledge. But with everything I do now and in the future, there will always be fashion involved, directly or indirectly. So after working at Dior, I started working at my family's business, a company importing French products to Mexico that they started in 2015 when we used to live in the country. So we sell our products mainly through our online stores, but also to B2B clients, so hotels, restaurants, bars. And we don't have a physical store yet, but that's something we are working on at the moment. We want to create a physical concept store, kind of an ecosystem. So when you enter the space, it feels like you are in France. So you can shop French food and non-food product. You can eat at different coffees, French restaurants. You can take French classes. You can learn how to speak French as well. So it's an entire French ecosystem. And we'll start the project in Mexico because we have our whole customer base there and the 10-year presence in the country. The goal is really to take this concept worldwide in every continent. So I've been focusing on this, working with different banks and investors to fund the project. And we are receiving tons of amazing positive feedbacks from investors, clients, customers, supporters, even family offices. And I'm also focusing on growing the company in the country, what we have at the moment. So improving the branding, the website, the social media, creating different systems and processes. And here on a daily basis, I apply tons of things that I learned at school or at Dior. And to grow, we are applying the same branding and marketing strategies that these luxury fashion companies use to make billions of dollars every year. Strategies that I learned at Dior. And now we want to go even deeper, and use them even more intentionally to grow even more. So that's mainly what I've been focusing on. And on the side, I'll also coach online coaches. So basically, I help online coaches get more clients using the same, once again, branding and marketing strategies that these luxury fashion brands use on a daily basis. Strategies that I learned at Dior. So I help them reframe their offer, find the right client to sell to, position themselves so that clients come to them and they don't have to chase them, among many things they can do to get more clients. So again, fashion is always there, even when I'm doing business in Mexico or coaching online coaches. And I'm also working on a long-term project, and this is the third and final thing I do, which is restructuring a company that I started in 2022, which is B2B based, focused on building systems, automating backend, sales backend, and using AI to help companies close more clients. And I'll share more about this in the future. Now I'm just restructuring the company. And it really is a cash flow business, and right now I'm really focused on restructuring the company, from operations to hiring to starting working with some clients. And my goal with all of this is to be as transparent as possible and share all my wins, my successes, my failures, my lessons, share everything, the step-by-steps, everything. So you can learn from it and hopefully apply to your own life or business. And with everything I'm doing now, the plan is still to come back to the fashion industry, to launch maybe a company, a lifestyle company, a fashion company, we'll see. But coming back to the fashion industry with all that, business knowledge, skills, all the experience I'll have acquired to really make it a commercial success and build, a legacy company. So yeah, that's the goal eventually. That's why I really want to focus on business, and cash flow first now. Have the knowledge and resources to launch, more passion businesses ideas. And I'm gonna share something. Lately, I felt a really strong pull back into the fashion industry. I've had talks with friends, seen what's happening in the fashion industry, kind of felt inspired again. But I know it's not the time yet. That time will come and, I'll be ready. So this is where I want to take the content with, this YouTube channel here. Sharing what I work on, with who, how, sharing, like I said, the loss, the successes, the wins, the failures, and my lessons, even my thought process. But I'll still talk about fashion, don't worry. And I'm saying this for all those who, follow me for that. And you'll see how I incorporate fashion, in everything I do. And once again, if you need help or advice on fashion or anything else, you can still reach out to me on Instagram. I've received a lot of messages lately, so I'm really trying to respond to everyone. So if I don't respond, follow up, send me another message. I'll respond eventually. But I really want to go deeper, and that's why I'm starting an email list to share what I work on, the behind the scenes stories, some lessons from business, talk about fashion, my failures, my thought process, my personal updates, lessons, and how you can use everything into your own life or business. So on YouTube, I'll still go deep, but in the emails, I'll go even deeper. Be kind of more personal and try to help you on a more personal level and on whatever you're working on, whatever you're doing. My goal is really to help you on a deeper level. And I really want it to be a space where we can kind of connect one-on-one. You can reply to the emails and I reply back. So between Instagram and the emails, it's a better way to connect even deeper with each other. So if you want to join, you can subscribe down below. It's the first link in the description. And yes, it's a free email list. I don't ask for anything. So that's where I've been, what I'm building now, and where I'm headed next. And once again, fashion is, still a part of the journey. I've stepped away from now, but, with a long-term vision to come back even stronger. So if you want to follow along more closely, get deeper insights, or connect on a more personal one-on-one level, you can subscribe to the email list in the description. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and hopefully in the email list as well.